Bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Welcome. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio. For the masses. Yeah, man. How you doing? How you doing? Today's Tuesday, March 5th. 2019, 64 days into the new year, 301 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California, and I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? Man, oh man, oh man. Tonight I've got some things to say. I'm going to say it. I'm going to kick it off with, tonight we have very special guest. Mitch Horowitz is here live from New York City. We're going to talk about his two books, and other things as well, but his two books, Occult America, One Simple Idea, How Positive Thinking Reshaped Modern Life, and The Miracle Club, How Thoughts Become Reality. I'm going to discuss some of this in just a bit. Stay with me. Tomorrow night is our Soul Tech special events featuring the premiere of our documentary. It is called Boarding Benevolence. It was shot last year in August up at ECETI Ranch. That premieres tomorrow night. Cannot wait for it. Okay, now, Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. You can follow me on Twitter. You can do that if you wish, at JChurchRadio. You know, I'm big into social media. Twitter seems to be my home these days. Still hanging over on Facebook. And, of course, YouTube is right there, and you can follow, like, and subscribe over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Now, the sandbox, if you want to hang out with everybody tonight, is hashtag F2B, and that is on Twitter. Any questions or comments for myself or our guest tonight, Mitch Horowitz, you can do hashtag F2BQ. As you know, everything is live in front of me, and, of course, we have two chat rooms, one over in Spreaker and one over at KGRA, the planet. You can also email throughout the show, Jimmy at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Let's get to the breaking news. I've got a lot to talk about tonight. It's going to be a busy show, so let me get all of this stuff in. Volvo, synonymous with automobile safety worldwide, will limit the top speed of all of its cars to 112 miles per hour to further reduce fatalities involved in its vehicles. They're boxy, but safe. That's right. Also, today, check this out. SpaceX CEO Elon Musk believes that a moon base should be first. That's right, before his company heads to Mars. I'm quoting from Elon here. Quote, yeah. You need to get there. That's the big deal. I think Starship will also be good for creating a base on the moon. We'll probably have a base on the moon before going to Mars. End quote. And Elon recently said this in an interview with Popular Mechanics. That's right. Next up, the National Security Agency has stopped using a surveillance program in recent months that relied on bulk data collected from U.S. domestic phone records, according to a Republican congressional official. The program, authorized under the USA Freedom Act, requires reauthorization at the end of the year, and the Trump administration may not seek to extend it. And this is according to Luke Murray, National Security Advisor to House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Murray's comments came on a podcast produced by Lawfare, a national security legal affairs website. Yeah. We'll see. Spying on U.S. citizens. And remember, up until a couple of months ago, that's apparently what they did. Now, do we trust the NSA with this? Have they stopped? Or is it smoke screen? I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's got to get re-upped and reauthorized by Trump by the end of the year. So we'll see. Okay. Man, I need this River Moon coffee right now. You've got to go and check out the Surfer music streaming app. They are our newest sponsors here at Fade to Black. It's an amazing app. All you have to do is download it. You don't have to sign up for it. You don't have to give up your personal information. You're not doing anything but click the download button. And it's amazing, and it's totally 100% free. Click on the Surfer music banners over at jimmychurchradio.com. It'll take you straight to surfer.fm. Boom. You take a look. You got two choices for downloads. Google or Apple, right there. Do the download. Done. You've got streaming music on your phone. Just like that. Everything is there, all of the categories. You've got unlimited everything that you want to do, unlimited skipping. You can establish your favorites, all the channels. It's just totally cool. Totally cool. Surfer. SURFR. SURFR.FM. It's amazing, and it's so simple. It is so cool. It's one of those things where you just go, how can this be happening to me, where I get a free music streaming app with no obligation? All I got to do is just download it. That's it. Go and download it today. Our next event coming up is Contact in the Desert. That's May 31st through June 3rd in Indian Wells, Palm Springs, California, at the Renaissance Indian Wells Resort and Spa. Tickets and info at contactinthedesert.com. And then coming up, of course, our big show is tomorrow night, our big Soul Tech special. And our Soul Tech conference is over the July 4th weekend at the Sunrise Ranch in Loveland, Colorado. All right, now get over. Sign up for tickets and info at soultechgathering.com. The new website's going to launch tomorrow. It's first come, first serve right off of that mailing list. That's right. It's a sign-up list. Go and get it done. Do it. And then tomorrow night, a great preview special. And our guest tonight, Mitch Horowitz, is one of our featured speakers and teachers at Soul Tech. And we'll be talking about that in a little bit when we get Mitch on the show. All right, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. It's just $2 per month. $2 per month. You've got over 1,000 archive shows. That's 1,000 shows for just $2 a month. All right, click on the podcast banner, help support the show, and get signed up today. And also, you can become an official Fadernaut. Now, we're going to be expanding all of this over this year. So becoming a Fadernaut is becoming not only a part of this family, helps support the show, but you get so many cool things with you. You get to call yourself a Fadernaut. And if you go full tilt boogie, you get autographed shirts and hats. You're going to get commercial-free downloadable MP3 files, fully audio optimized. It's just totally cool. You get the bunker cam and all of that stuff. There's going to be changes. I'm letting you guys know. There's going to be changes with YouTube coming up. All right, I'm just letting you know. We've been working behind the scenes to get all of this set up. And if you're a Fadernaut, you need it. You need those privileges. Okay, so there's going to be some changes coming up here on YouTube. Right now, we have to use YouTube the way it's set up. in order to optimize their stream to feed that back into the bunker cam. They used to let us use the stream and not stream on YouTube, and we could just take this stream and put it on our website. They stopped that. Unbelievable. Just a strange violation, man. I felt so violated about it. But anyway, we've got our workaround. We've got our solutions. And if you're a fade or not, and you've got the bunker cam, you deserve that exclusivity. All right. Where am I at? Don't forget all of our sponsors here. Okay? Click on all Life Change Tea, Ancient Life Oil, Fade to Black Blend from River Moon Coffee, Hoffman's Optics, Sacred Skulls, Numana Food Storage. They have been with us forever. The Surfer Music app. You know, these are sponsors that have been with us and supporting us and helping you, the Fadernauts, for years. Okay, so go and click on their banners. Go and check out their products. It's all the best, and I use all of it myself. Okay? All right. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today. Former Chili Pepper and guitar virtuoso John Frusciante today is 48 years old. In case you didn't know this, he was in the Peppers for 20 years. He was in the Peppers since 1988, all the way to 2007. I'll never forget the first time I saw him play. I was like, that dude's the real deal right there. Happy birthday, John. Our dead guy's birthday today is Andy Gibb. 1958 to 1988, died at the age of 30. Of course, brother of Barry, Robin, and Maurice, who had some pretty big hits of his own. I was cranking them today here in the bunker. I Just Want to Be Your Everything. And I know Rita's down the hall going, what is Jimmy listening to? But I did. Love is Thicker Than Water. That's what I'm talking about. Andy Gibb. On March 10th, 1988, Andy felt a pain in his chest. Goes to the hospital. And Andy's doctor told him that morning that more tests were needed to determine the cause of his chest pains. Later that day, he just slumped over, went unconscious, and died. That's right. He died as the result of myocarditis, an inflammation of the heart muscle caused by a recent viral infection. Absolutely incredible. Happy birthday, Andy. I hope you're up there listening, man. Your stuff is incredible. Absolutely incredible. On this day in history, 1969, Jim Morrison is charged with lewd behavior at a Miami concert. When Morrison first got word of the charges, he thought that it was a practical joke. But soon he learned that Miami authorities were very serious because they added an additional charge of simulated oral copulation on guitarist Robbie Krieger during the same show. That's right. And also, on this day in 1982, I need a moment of silence. John Belushi dies of an overdose at the Chateau Marmont in Los Angeles, California. Fader fact. Uranus has 27 moons. All of these moons are named after the characters from the works of William Shakespeare and Alexander Pope. And that is your Fader fact. Tonight, Mitch Horowitz is here. We're going to talk about his two books. And talk a little bit about Soul Tech, too. But his two books, Occult America, One Simple Idea, How Positive Thinking Reshaped Modern Life, and The Miracle Club, how, you ready? How thoughts become reality, which is what I want to talk about right now as I hit this River Moon coffee. And let me tell you something. When you hear what I have to say right now, you'll understand my love for River Moon Coffee and everything that Juanita and Jeff get done for us and for all of you every single day. I need this coffee. I need it. Addicted. Because can you change your own reality? The answer is simple. Of course you can. Of course you can. And it's easier than you think. When you hear others talk about this, especially for the first time, most think that it's like magic or that it's fake. That one day you light some candles and you chant a few lines from some secret book and then bam, the next day you wake up and everything has changed. Right? And no, sadly, It doesn't work this way. Usually, well, I'm sure it's happened to someone in the past because anything is possible, right? Okay, I'm hip to that. But changing your reality is work. It's real work. And 11 years ago, I decided to change mine. I'm going to say this. Be careful what you wish for. Okay? Seriously. Today, I was at the doctor this morning for a chronic ear issue that hasn't gone away for over 7 months. And it's nearly driven me insane. Okay? And it's in the inner ear. It's not the outer ear. It's in the inner ear. You can't get to it. You can't do anything. And it is constantly clogged. And I can hear fluid moving around in my head all day, all night. It has not stopped. We've been trying to fix it. I don't talk about it. Nobody knows about this, right? Last week, I had an allergic reaction to antibiotics that I was taking for this ear thing. And my head blew up into a pumpkin. That's right. I was pumpkin head. And all this was going on while I'm fighting this stupid ear thing. And I'm telling you, it's nearly driven me insane. Over the last 6 or 7 months, dealing with this has caused my nights to be nearly void of sleep. Right? Through all of it, I work. And I work a lot. Everything that I do out there is for the world to see. Everybody knows my schedule. Everybody knows what I am doing. Everybody knows that there are no real days off. You either see me here or hear me here, see me here. I'm over at Coast. I'm over taping for History Channel. I'm over at a conference somewhere. I'm always, every single day, working through this insanity of these issues. And I'm not complaining, right? But there are no days off, and they are rare when I get them. Everything that was sort of normal, weekends off and holidays, a cycle that made sense, those are totally gone. It's been gone for 11 years. Now, I wanted to change my reality, and I did. You can do it. It works. But what it has turned into is nearly 10 straight years of madness. It's like, you got to be careful. I'm not complaining. I ask for it. I realize that there are so many out there who would do anything to be in the position that Rita and I are in right now. I understand that. We've got an amazing audience, right? We've got a great network. We've got an amazing show that's so much fun to do every single day. And much more important, we've earned your respect. And all of this comes from hard work. We have never stopped. Anyone out there who has put in the effort that it takes to pull off something like this will tell you that they are tired, they are exhausted, and they are bordering on crazy. But they wouldn't change a thing. And we won't either. So when you hear me say these words tonight, or you see me on stage somewhere, smiling and happy, remember this. I'm here for you. It's all of you that give me the strength to fight through the lack of sleep. I'm deaf in one ear, barely keeping my wits about me. And what drives me is, and takes my mind off the madness of this world in my head and what's going on in my health, is preparing for this show. Getting ready for you, the audience, and then going through 3 hours of the show, I'm able to not think about the madness of the world. I'm just hanging out with you. My ear, I don't, like right now, the craziness of this thing that's been going on for over a half a year, I'm not even thinking about it. Saying something like this personal, may seem strange because I never talk about this stuff. But I wanted to change my reality. And this reality, where I am today, is that I can speak about this to all of you because of this show and our desire to change the world that Rita and I were in so many years ago. You know, this morning I was at a doctor's office trying to desperately find the magic cure for something that's been going on what seems like now forever. So I could get back to the studio and prepare for the show tonight and act like nothing is going on. Right? I come on the show, Fade to Black. Bespoke radio. Right? Right? You have no idea what I went through today to get here. What I went through last night after the show, just trying to get to sleep, fighting what's going on in my head, desperately trying to get through the night so I can get up in the morning, get to the doctor's office, get to the all the way through to this show. So remember, things are never what they seem. And tomorrow is always a brand new day. I will change this reality, this crazy thing that has been going on with me somehow, seriously. And I know that part of what is going on with me is the fact that we worked so hard to get where we are at. Okay? Rita and I ran ourselves into the ground. You know, and through all of this, just trying to stay in our lane, you know, trying to put on a great show and have fun and discover and knowledge and all these amazing guests and all of this, the torture that has been brought down on Rita from those out there that want to complain about the show or talk about her or talk about me and we've got this and we've got that. You know what? I am dealing with so much to get the show on the air every single day and what effort goes into it. It's the reality that I chose, you know, and fighting those forces out there that don't know us or don't do anything else. Meanwhile, we're dealing with everything else. Rita's got to deal with my insanity. She's got to put up with me every single day. She looks at me. She knows I'm not healthy. And she knows. Yesterday, before the show, yesterday morning, cancel the show. Cancel the week. You can't do this every single night. Just cancel everything. Jimmy, you can't continue. No, Rita, we have the audience. We have responsibilities and this. And I'm able to not think about what's going on. Please just, you know. And she's watching me suffer through all of this. Meanwhile, we're getting stupid attacks from absolute retards out there that want to say this about me or this about my wife. And meanwhile, I've had lack of sleep and everything else, and I just want to lash out. But I have to be professional. I got to be cool. We play the game at a different level from where we are at. We're not going to stoop down to those levels, but I want to protect what is mine. You know, and going through all of this, it's just about getting on the air each night and having fun and just forgetting about everything else. And that is what you get when you change your reality. We wanted this, we asked for it, and I am not complaining. But I just want you to know what I went through today, what I went through last night, what I went through the night before, every single night for the last 7 months. No sleep, nothing, insanity. I'll take you back. Every conference that I have done this year out there in public, I had an ear infection. I'm going back to my room every hour and dealing with this and going back out and smiling and sitting down and hanging out with all of you. You guys don't know what's going on. You guys don't have any idea. What I went through at Soul Tech, and I had to fly on a plane and this thing, it was insane. It was insane. But nobody at Soul Tech knew. You know who knew? Nurse Nancy and Stacy. and Rita, Nurse Nancy and Stacy taking me back to my RV. I'm laying down, and the medical procedures that they were doing on me in there would freak you out, just so I could get up, go out, and get it done, and smile, and hang out. And you gave me the energy to do that. And that's what we go through. I asked for it. I asked for this reality. So that's it. Okay? I love all of you. I have the energy at the beginning of this show tonight. I want to make this clear. At the beginning of the show tonight, you didn't know what I was going to talk about right now. I just came off with the nice fade to black, and let's do this. And we got Mitch Horowitz on. Tomorrow night is Soul Tech. Rah, 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 team. The reality is a little bit different. And you guys give me the energy to fight through it all. So I'm here to thank you. Thank you. I mean, you guys have carried me on your back for the last 7 months. And I hope that with all of your energy, everything that you guys can manifest, let's just focus on this stupid ear of mine. It's my left ear. Inside my head, by the way. I wish it was on the outside. Throw something on it and let it go away. It's not. You know, let's get rid of this thing. Let's change this reality that I'm in. And hopefully, maybe tomorrow, for the first time in over a half a year, I'll go, I feel better. I feel better. All right? So tonight, it's Mitch bleeping Horowitz is here to talk about changing your reality. You can do it. I did it. Don't you want to be me? Yeah, you do. You do, and you can. Whatever it is around you that you want to change, you can do it, and Mitch Horowitz is here to talk about it. I'm going to get out of here and take a quick break. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can email me right now, Jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. Hashtag F2BQ is Fade to Black questions on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. I'll be right back with our guest, Mitch Horowitz. Stay with me.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hey, folks. Guess what the number one phrase that Life Change Tea receives by email? You ready? We love this tea. We love this tea. Time after time, week after week, we love this tea. Life Change Tea gives you more energy. a beautiful cleansing, and fulfills its slogan perfectly. The tea that makes you go. So if you want to be on your health game, log on to getthetea.com and order Life Change Super Strength Tea. Packages come in a 1-month supply, and when you brew this stuff, wait until you see the results. Aren't we all about the results? And with a lot of people's health struggling, we can use a little bit of help. Doctors will tell you disease starts in the gut. So log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Be our next email saying, I love this tea. I love this tea. Get the tea at getthetea.com. Helping America one tea bag at a time.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Do you want to lose weight but have no idea where to begin? The Fast Start Diet, a 3-day weight loss plan, is the answer. 3 days of nutritionally balanced, calorie-restricted meals delivered right to your door. No shopping, no measuring, and no cooking. Everything is prepared for you and ready to eat at home or on the go. The Fast Start Diet has all the amazing benefits of intermittent fasting without starving. We've helped thousands of people who have struggled to reach their weight loss goals. Isn't it time we helped you? With the Fast Start Diet, you'll lose weight and feel great.
Find Fast Start Diet on Amazon or go to faststartdiet.com and use promo code TALK to get 10% off your first box. And as a special bonus, Fast Start will include their #1 rated Lipo3 appetite suppressant spray free with your order. This is Jimmy Church. And whatever your diet plans are, do what I did. Go to faststartdiet.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Oh, it just held up to the studio cam, the bunker cam. The Hoffman's Optics Jimmy Church edition, and it just came today, and this has the cell phone mount to record. But, yeah, pretty incredible. You want yours? Night vision goggles just like this? Go to hoffmansoptics.com. hoffmansoptics.com. You scroll down to the bottom of the page, and right there, the Jimmy Church edition, the deep blue, right there. Check it out. Give Alec Hoffman a call, and he will guide you straight through. He is a fade or not. Tonight, our guest, Mitch Horowitz. He is a writer in residence at the New York Public Library, lecturer in residence at the University of Philosophical Research right here in Los Angeles, and the PEN Award-winning author of books including Occult America, One Simple Idea, How Positive Thinking Reshaped Modern Life, and The Miracle Club, How Thoughts Become Reality. I have both books. I have read them. I recommend them. He has written on everything from The War on Witches to The Secret Life of Ronald Reagan for the New York Times, The Wall Street Journal, The Washington Post, Salon, Time.com, and Politico. The Washington Post says, Mitch, and I'm quoting, treats esoteric ideas and movements with an even-handed intellectual studiousness that is too often lost in today's raised voice discussions. Mitch has discussed alternative spirituality on CBS Sunday Morning, Dateline NBC, NPR's All Things Considered, CNN, and throughout all of the national media, including right here on Fade to Black. The Chinese government has censored his work, and that says it all right there. Mitch, welcome back, my friend. How are you?
Thank you, my man. Very glad to be here.
It's always good to hear your voice. Now, look, Mitch, before we get started, you're on with us tonight. Tomorrow, you go from New York to L.A. You're in Los Angeles tomorrow night. What are you doing here in town?
Right. In fact, I'm leaving in about 2 hours to go to Los Angeles. I'm going to be speaking Thursday through Saturday at Manly P. Hall's Mystery School in the Griffith Park neighborhood. We're kicking it off with a lecture on Thursday night called Unvanquished Angels, about America's not-so-forgotten occult heroes, and continuing with another lecture on Friday night about Hermetic spirituality. Saturday, I'm giving a workshop in the afternoon called the Miracle Club, which deals with mind power techniques. And also Friday afternoon, I'm going to be reading tarot cards for people, talking about the history of tarot and other great things in Manly Hall Library. If you go to uprs.edu, you can check out the schedule, buy tickets, and it's just going to be wonderful. It's a gathering of great friends with a lot of esoteric exploration.
I can't wait. And could you do me a favor, Mitch? I hate to say this live on the air, but can I get you to speak closer to your phone, or take me off of speaker, one or the other?
Oh, you're off the speaker. Never speaker for you, Jimmy.
Oh, now there you are. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
This is what I want to discuss tonight. I don't know if you heard my opening rant earlier, but about changing your reality. I did just that. And 11 years ago, Rita and I were at a point in our lives where we were like, okay, you know what? This ain't working. And let's do what we want to do. I mean, epic changes. Going from a certain lifestyle, and it's the things that we were doing, and we're raising our kids, and doing, just took a right-hand turn. And literally changed everything from top to bottom. So when somebody says, they're frustrated or they're this or that, it's up to you. You can't blame the world, right?
Right. We make a good go of blaming the world, but absolutely. I'm very touched to hear that story. And, the thing is, when you decide to make a change in your life, it can also invite chaos into your life. And you have to be prepared for that as well. And I think, you've alluded to that. Success comes with sleepless nights. It comes with anxiety. And I have a close friend who's taught meditation to some very well-known television hosts. And he said, they don't sleep a wink all night. They sleep 2 hours at a time. And yet, you also receive a lot as well. You have to accept there's going to be chaos entering your life anytime you make a radical break with the past.
And it was something that it's not like Mitch, where you can go take a class somewhere to prepare you for this, right?
Absolutely.
That part doesn't exist, and you learn on the fly. Nobody wants to share their secret information. How they managed to get through it, and it's a tough thing, but it's what we all want. We all want to find our bliss. We all want that happiness, that thing that just, makes us get up in the morning. We all want that. But you're absolutely right. You need to be careful and you need to be prepared, because with all of that, and it will happen if you want to manifest it, you want to make it happen, it'll happen. But what comes with that is an immense amount of chaos and anxiety, and you have to prepare for it.
Yes. I think one of the ways of dealing with the chaos and anxiety that accompanies success, that accompanies assimilating your goals into your life, and this is very tricky because it's going to sound simple, but if you peel back the onion, it's not simple. Don't complain about it. It's very important not to get caught up in kind of petty complaints that can accompany success, because what you're really doing, in that situation is kind of reverting back to a mindset of want. Now, I was joking earlier that I'm leaving for LA in about 2 hours, and that's just about true. I mean, right now here in New York City, it's 10:30 at night. I'm going to be with you and your listeners until 12:30. I'm going to get up at 4 a.m. to make a plane, if I could even put it in those terms. I mean, I'm going to sort of take a nap. And, earlier today, I found myself just getting on the brink of saying, oh, man, I'm only going to sleep 2 or 3 hours or whatever. Oh, forget it. I'm thrilled. I'm delighted. I'm delighted to be here with you and your listeners. I'm delighted to be getting on a plane tomorrow and going to LA, a city that I love. And, it's very easy for us to sort of slip into a mode of want all over again when we get something that we wish for. And that's one of the things that serves to return us to our prior mood. And the things that we tell ourselves privately and things that we say casually to our friends and loved ones have more power than we would ever estimate. And so one piece of advice which I would share, and I don't feel the need to be secretive at all about it, is when you get what you want, and it's so important, and we'll talk more about that, don't fall into petty complaining, because that will set you backwards in terms of mood and mindset, and it will take your attention away from where you've traveled on the road and dilute your ability to enjoy what you're actually experiencing.
And you practice what you preach. I want everybody to know when I reached out to Mitch, and he looks at his schedule, and I said, well, Tuesday night, and you said, what time? And I said, okay. Oh, you were like, we're on. Done.
Yeah.
You're not, anybody else would go, man, I got to get up. I got to work. I got to get on a plane. I got to go. I don't have time for this. No.
Right.
No, you are practicing what you preach. Literally, you could be doing anything right now, but speaking to this audience. You should be in bed. You should be packing. Earlier, oh, by the way, can I tell everybody what you were doing earlier when we sound checked?
Oh, by all means. I hope you have pictures. Yeah, absolutely.
Mitch is shaving. He's got shaving cream on. And now he could have told me at that point, Jimmy, I'll call you back. No sound check. I'm shaving. No, we sound checked while you were shaving, and we got it done. And here we are. But, yeah, absolutely. You have to. You have to work. Nothing is free. Nothing is free.
And, I often tell people, if you can, think back to your earliest memories as a kid. I mean really young, age 3, age 4, when your first memories started to crystallize. And you may discover an uncanny congruency between what you wanted when you were at that precious young age and what you have now as an adult. The philosopher Goethe made the observation, we often hear that old saying, careful what you wish for, you just might get it. That actually has its earliest roots in Goethe, who said, what you wish for when you're young will come upon you in waves when you're old. So be careful. And a lot of people want to argue with that statement because they think to themselves, well, gee, I'm not living out my dreams. And I would say, take a yellow light, take a careful look, a second look at what Goethe said, and let your mind drift back to what you really wanted at the time of your earliest memories, age 3, age 4, just when we begin to crystallize conscious long-term memories. Take a look. You may be very surprised at what you discover. Now, one thing I don't mind sharing with people, it's a very intimate memory, but I feel like I have to be straightforward with you and your listeners. When I was a little kid, and we would play games, Cowboys and Indians and war games and things like that, I was playing all the same games that everybody else was playing, but I was imagining myself doing it on camera. I wanted to be John Wayne or whomever it was, kind of acting out the part on camera. And I would imagine myself playing these games in front of a camera. And so I consider myself hugely lucky now in midlife to be involved in media and radio and television. So when you call me and say, hey, can you do the show, tomorrow night at such and such a time? It's like the answer is just yes, not maybe, but yes, because it's really the spot of harmonious living that I had thought of effortlessly at age 3, 4, and I consider it the blessing of my life that has come upon me in waves, just like Goethe said, in midlife. And I better never complain about it for a moment.
When we take a look at America today, the United States, we can certainly discuss the world in the same terms. But when we look at America today, and the title of the book where you say, how positive thinking reshaped modern life, I would say that in a general sense that is true. And then on the flip side of that, we really wanted technology. We wanted access. We wanted 8 zillion channels of access to entertainment and news 24/7. We wanted all of these things, which also has started to reshape the way we are today and the way that we think. Yeah. And it's kind of going back. Be careful what you wish for, right?
That's true. I don't think all this technology has altered human nature, but it has certainly, it's disinhibited us. It's brought out aspects of human nature that are in sharper focus than ever before. And frankly, we are destroying ourselves by the tone that exists, that pervades digital culture, the tone of attack, the tone of sarcasm, the tone of cynicism. And it's breaking us down. It is breaking us down. And I often tell people, if you think this is just a broader macro social problem, you're not only mistaken, but you're endangering your own happiness. When people come to me and they feel unhappy, depressed, anxious, they can't sleep, they're hitting the bottle too much, or they're relying on drugs, or whatever it is, one of the things I tell them is, if you want to do something to help yourself in the next 24 hours, and I mean it, stop gossiping. Stop gossiping. Don't participate. Yeah.
I mean, right? And we,
right?
And we, you know what, Mitch? We all know that. But for some reason, nobody wants to step up to the plate and start to do something about it.
That's right. That's right. And, people want magic. That's the closest thing you can get to magic. You can enact it right away. You will feel nobler. You will be more respected. You will stand more erect. You will be a more attractive person. There's many reasons for that, and I go through some of them in the Miracle Club and other books. But the fact is, you degrade yourself through gossip in ways that you don't even begin to imagine.
Right.
There's an auto-suggestive quality to gossip where what you talk about acts on your own character. There is an energy depletion. If you've ever sat through a meal with somebody and you've just sat through that whole meal gossiping and trading stories about other people, you will feel an unmistakable drop in your energy as if you're just coming off of a sugar high. There's something so psychically unhealthy about gossip. And the beautiful thing is, if you can flick the off switch, you will feel better. You will get rewards. It's not only a matter, it's certainly the moral thing to do. It's certainly the ethical thing to do. But if you want to, be selfish about it, because you will receive rewards. You're doing unto yourself by ceasing that. So, this language is a smog that poisons us. And if you can unplug from it, it's not just a matter of doing a good deed or eating your vegetables. You will feel like a nobler person, and you will feel it in 24 hours.
I realized many years ago, decades ago, that if somebody was in my presence and would start to gossip, pretty much that's the last conversation I would have with that person. I would just get turned off. I want to hang out with somebody that says something like, man, I read this book yesterday, and it was about blah, 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 blah. That's a conversation, right?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And
for real. For real.
Yeah. And I am that way when it comes to social media and what is going on today. The gossiping that is there. I look at who is writing those words, and I can pretty much assess that. That is somebody that doesn't like themselves, and they've got something burnt on the inside of them that, it's dark, and they need to get out of that. They think that gossiping is making them attractive, that is making them important, and it's simply the exact opposite is what happens.
Exactly. I think people are afraid to unplug from gossip because they think they'll be boring. They view gossip as a kind of currency, and they feel that when they don't have dirt to share or insider dope to share about other people, they're going to be boring. It's not true. It's a false assumption. Not only will you be more interesting and attractive, you'll come into better, nobler company, which will allow you to accomplish more of the things you want in life. And the fact is, a lot of gossip is based on this false assumption that we can deal with our own fear, we can deal with our own anger by diluting it. That if we share it, or if we share bad news or misfortune that's being experienced by other people, it somehow dilutes the anxiety and the problems and the pain that we're experiencing. That's an illusion. That doesn't work. That dilution process does not take place. unplug from it. You will be happier. It's that simple.
And when something like that happens, and I want you to speak to the audience directly, are the results from that instantaneous?
I believe so. I believe that we have certain opportunities in life to actually experience dramatic, instantaneous changes. And one of those opportunities in particular has to do with gossip, because its effects are like a choking smog psychically. And it is the finest thing that you can do for yourself. When you unplug from it, you will feel at liberty and stronger in a radical number of ways. The philosopher William James, who's one of my heroes, talked about a conversion experience. And he said there are certain instances in a person's life where he or she can come into a new belief system or take some dramatic step, and it seems to reorient their lives in a way that actually changes objective outer reality. Bill Wilson, the founder of AA, had that experience when he got sober, for example. There are certain steps that we can take that are so powerful that it seems to reorient everything that we're about. And even resisting a certain habit, even if we relapse, and I know there are relapses, and I experience them too, but even if we relapse, every effort that we make to shed a negative habit and embrace a nobler form of living, it builds up a fiber in us that does change things. And I talk to a lot of people who are suffering. I talk to a lot of people who feel depressed or anxious or what have you. And, you know, the one thing I tell them is if you can scrutinize your life and cut out gossip, and there are other steps too. You know, another step that's so important is separating yourself from cruel people. Even if you can't get away from an individual physically, you can still make that morally revolutionary effort within to determine that you're going to separate from them within as much as possible. And at the first possible opportunity, vow to separate physically. Doesn't matter when it is, that opportunity will come. But separating from cruel people and desisting from gossip, man, they will change your life in hours. And I don't exaggerate, and I welcome anybody to try it and call me out on it if I am exaggerating.
Okay, so I want to ask you two questions. Did you used to gossip?
Oh, yeah. I worked in the publishing business. The currency of the publishing business was gossip at one time. I mean, you know, people go out to these expense account lunches,
right,
and they just sit there over their grilled salmon, you know, talking trash about colleagues. And I realized at a certain point, and Jimmy, I swear to you, it was almost like this palpably physical experience, and I think it was physical and psychical. There was a colleague with whom I used to get together for lunch every few months, and I would get drawn in to this rotating wheel of gossip with this person, and the lunch would just drag on too long. I'd come back to my office at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'd feel hungover. I'd feel sick. I'd feel almost physically unwell. And that was my first clue that these conversations have some component to them that are absolutely toxic to the psyche, toxic to your physiology. And I made an effort to distance myself from that person, and I began to realize how pernicious a thing gossip was. And I began to realize how many diffuse sides there are to people's lives and how profoundly unfair it is to try to boil down their life or their identity or their existence to one story that I witnessed or someone else witnessed where somebody underwent a misfortune. So anyway, I had an internal revolution about it. But the publishing business is so fueled by gossip. And so at one time, I was very much part of that. And I distanced myself from it completely.
The changes that you have, once you cut the negative people around you and you stop the gossiping and you take those steps towards the positive, it's the first things that you need to get in order when you want to change your own reality, because you'll get a month out, 2 months out, and you'll look back and you'll say to you, I used to be different. This actually works. Today, I'm not the same person that I was back then. And it's actually very simple if you just know, a couple of simple things on what to do.
Yes. And sometimes, in fact, maybe almost as a rule, other people notice it first. They may not always advertise it to you, but I've had encounters with people, meals with people, and they've said, you have a different tone than the person I knew from 10 years ago, 5 years ago. It's not uncommon that other people will notice it first. And this is the kind of thing that opens up the door for people to do the things that you and Rita have done, where you made these radical changes in your life and you found yourself living an existence that was actually self-selected.
And when I say changing your reality is real, that you can do it, when I used to hear about these processes, and I'm talking 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I used to hear about I would think that I would dismiss it in that it seemed like what they were saying, like I said in the opening statement, you're going to light a few candles and you're going to dream your way through this. And tomorrow you're going to wake up and there's a different car in the driveway. Like that is something more esoteric and supernatural. But that's not the case, is it?
Well, it's interesting. I think over time it can be the case. I mean, there's a natural interval, there's a natural gestation that has to occur in life. I mean, it takes 9 months for a human life to gestate. And in the animal kingdom, a horse, 11 months and so on. It's a law of nature that there's going to be a gestation period for everything. Sometimes things can happen in a hurry. Other times they happen over the course of years. But one of the things I have been absolutely just astonished by is that sometimes over the march of time, and we're terrible. I mean, we forget things. We're very forgetful. Our attention has tremendous gaps in it. But sometimes over the course of time, I've noticed that there will be that car in the driveway, or there will be somebody looking back at me in the mirror in the morning or something, and I realize, oh my God, this is exactly something that I was picturing. I mean, this is really, truly congruent with my thoughts. And it may be that it occurred over an interval of 5 or 10 years, but the congruency, I tell you, it's just amazing. I mean, I find a congruency between where I am today at age 53 and things that I can remember thinking about in my earliest memories at ages 3 and 4. And, I ask people to really keep in mind how forgetful we are and how great a gap there is in our attention, and how sometimes we fool ourselves. We don't really tell ourselves what we really want. Our internal talking is almost self-deceptive. And I would say if you can try to strip all that away and really reflect on your life, what you were thinking about when you were young, where you are now, where you want to be, you'll discover an uncanny congruency between thought and concrete experience.
Let's take a break right here, Mitch. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Mitch Horowitz. I almost said something else. Mitch Horowitz. I called you Bleepin' when we came in. I almost did it again. Mitch Bleepin' Horowitz. And we're going to continue when we come back. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Introducing the new Surfer music app. Listen, fade or not, you know I love my music. This is my go-to for all things notes. The Surfer app is a brand new concept in music listening. Surfer is free, providing unlimited access to thousands of live streaming radio stations. Surfer is an exciting, interactive listening experience. Discovery and surprise are built right in. Surfer is your destination to discover and rediscover great live streaming music. It features high-quality audio streams, free access to music from thousands of live streaming radio stations, unlimited listening, unlimited skipping. You get a music visualizer, and you can also select your favorite channels. Get it at the Apple App Store or Google Play. Just search Surfer Music or click on the Surfer banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied, but you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Reclaim your active lifestyle with Angioprim. Angioprim is the original liquid oral chelation supplement. Chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in your veins and arteries that can cause blockages. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. Find out more. Go to angioprim.com. Talk to a trained consultant by calling Angioprim toll-free 877-882-7221.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Mitch, simple, at Mitch Horowitz, and he's got that nice little blue verified check mark, and that's got to make you feel good, Mitch. Hey, Mitch. You're going to be speaking at our teaching at our Soltech conference coming up this July. Can you give us a sneak preview? What are you going to be doing?
Oh, absolutely, my man. You know, I'm just back from Egypt, actually, and I'm going to be talking about Hermetic philosophy, which was the Greek-Egyptian philosophy that abounded in Egypt in the decades immediately following Christ. It has a lot to do with the powers of the mind. It has a lot to do with mind causation. It's a real ancient form of mysticism and esoteric practice that was written down, and we still have vestiges of it today. It can be found in some of the translations of magical Hermetic books. It can be found in a great occult book from 1908 called The Kabbalion, which I'm making a documentary about. That was one of the things that I was doing in Egypt. And I'll be talking to people about how practical ancient Egyptian mysticism and spirituality can be a force in your life today. And we're going to get very hands-on about it.
How magical is Egypt? You know, when you go there and you know, what kind of electricity flows up your leg when you step onto the plateau?
You know, you nailed it. You nailed it. It does feel like electricity. I had that feeling twice, actually. On one occasion, I was able to go in a temple to the goddess Sekhmet, the ancient goddess Sekhmet, who was a goddess of boldness and force and power. And this is not open to the general public. This was at a temple site of Karnak, and we had to pay to get in there. You have to pay to do everything in Egypt today. And I went in there, and a friend and I did a ceremony with a guide to Sekhmet, and I just felt this sense of absolute electricity go through my body. There was another instance where we were in the Valley of Kings, and we got to go in a closed-off portion that most people don't get to go to. And again, you know, in Egypt, you pay to play. I mean, you know, everything, every door is open to you, but money has to change hands. Right, and we were willing to do this. It's just the way it is. And I went and I was able to touch a bas relief of one of the ancient ceremonial bulls. And Jimmy, you know, I just felt a sense of lightning electricity, just as you put it, pass through my whole body. It was absolutely extraordinary. Those were two of the true highlights of the trip for me. It was also a tough trip because we didn't close ourselves off from the general population. We didn't hang around, you know, on air-conditioned tour buses. You know, we were really out there with the people. And it's a tough country to travel through. It's a tough country to get things done in. But my friend Ronnie Thomas, who's a great director, and I were there for a week. We filmed a lot. And the Kabbalion documentary is going to be coming at you probably in the spring of next year. And some of what we learned will be on preview at your conference this summer.
The Great Pyramid, you know, it's discussed so much. I've talked about it on this show. The Great Pyramid is the one thing that not only is covered and researched and documented and and it just turns out, honestly, we know nothing. We know nothing.
Isn't that the truth? Nothing. It's just extraordinary. We have this terrible sense of hubris in our society that we can document things and understand them. And, you know, the truth is, incidents go on, you know, in my apartment building, you know, and people have 5 different versions of what happened yesterday. You know, there's a broken window and there's 3 different stories about why the window is broken. And the fact is we know nothing. And part of our ignorance stems from this binary thinking that we get into. You know, people will say, well, it was plainly a burial site. It was plainly a sarcophagus that's inside the king's chamber. And I've seen it and I've laid hands on it. And I understand that. And, you know, others will say, no, you know, it was something that, you know, coordinated to the stars and it's this and it's that. And the truth is we get into these binary points of view because we think it's got to be one thing. It's got to be one thing. The truth is, to ancient people, burial sites and crypts and sarcophagi were, and the very presence of death and the honor and the veneration of death was so fully integrated into life. And death was so much more of a palpable experience and an ever-ready possibility than what most of us living in the modern West experience today. That the ancients, and I believe this is true of the Celts, I believe this is true of the Egyptians, I believe this is true of the Maya, they didn't have this same sense of dividing line between death and life that we have. And so we, with our Western conceptions, look back And we think that something that served a funerary purpose must have been only that, And that's just not true. There was a integration and an absence of straight lines and sharp angles between life and death. They lived in a magical culture in which the non-physical world and the physical world were part of one whole. And I think that's made it very difficult for us to understand some of these things, because we'll look at something and say, that must have been a crypt, that must have been a burial chamber. There was more than one thing going on, just as there's more than one thing going on in our bodies when we pray and something happens, or when we experience what's called the placebo effect. Yes, endorphins and dopamine and all kinds of enzymes might be getting released, but that just might be what prayer or what the mental healing experience looks like in the body. It's one thing that's going on among others. And this binary thinking keeps us from appreciating the broader possibilities of human experience. There are very often a great complex of things going on, a superposition of things going on.
That's one of the most important things I've ever heard you say, and you say a lot, right? But is this, even today, with all of our science and all of our medical knowledge and all of the technology, we don't understand death at all. We don't know anything about it, and until something comes very clear, everything that the ancients had to say about it, I think, is as valid as anything, and that's where I'm at with it.
Absolutely. It's funny. The other day, a friend of mine was in an argument with somebody who was kind of goading him and saying, you're telling me you believe in ghosts, and I'm never thrown when people use words like ghosts, because it's an attempt to sort of infantilize a very important discussion by seizing a term, from popular culture. And my response to that person would be, are you absolutely certain that you know what happens after we die? Are you absolutely certain that there's no non-physical or extra-physical component to life? And of course, the answer would be, no, I'm not certain. How could any of us be? In which case, the conversation, the argument becomes moot. Then we agree. Right, I have questions. Right. I'm simply acknowledging that I have questions,
And talking about, how our thoughts can become reality, I think the first stage with all of this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to find the foundation of your bliss. You have to find your bliss and identify that. How do we do that, Mitch?
I'm really glad you came back to that. One of the metaphysical writers who I've really loved over the years is Carlos Castaneda.
Yep.
And a lot of people are down on Castaneda because they say, he falsified his identity and his historicism and so on. But there's so much truth in his books, and it speaks and it resounds on so many different levels that one makes a mistake to read Castaneda strictly as a work of anthropology, which it's not. It's a work of spiritual philosophy and esoteric psychology. One of the culmination and the denouement of the first of Carlos's Don Juan books involves him being on the porch of his mentor, and his mentor tells him, you must find the safe spot on this porch. And Carlos spends all night rolling around until he finds the safe spot, a spot where he feels noble and secure and protected. And it arguably saves his life because he's attacked by another figure in the story, and he prevails, and he's able to prevail because his life depended upon his finding that safe spot on the porch. He found it, and in finding it, he saved his own life. I would submit that one of the ways you can read that story is that it is a matter of saving your own life, to find what your definite aim and passion is, what you're really supposed to be doing in life, and to assimilate that. And I think that is as noble and as important a journey as an actual life-saving journey, because each of us has something that we want to be doing in the world that is as needful and as important to us as the drawing of breath itself. In Vedic tradition, it might be referred to as your dharma. In Western tradition, we might call it your definite chief aim. What is your definite absolute aim? And in the Miracle Club and elsewhere, I I encourage people to really sit down with unembarrassed self-scrutiny in a very private way. This is not something to necessarily share with other people. This is your own individual inner experiment. And really ask yourself, what is your most sacred, passionately felt aim in life? And you mustn't be embarrassed by it, because we hide from our aim because we think, oh, I'm a spiritual person. I'm not supposed to be too interested in money. Or I'm a developed person. I'm not supposed to be too interested in the physical. Throw out all of those preconceptions. Throw out all embarrassment. That's why I say it's so important to keep this experiment private. It's not something you're going to vet with other people. It's not something where you're looking for other people's approbation. Don't repeat things to yourself that you've heard in the past. Don't repeat principles or homilies that are from translations of ancient literature. Just be you. Don't be embarrassed. And ask yourself, what do you really want? And no matter what answer comes back to you, honor it. Honor it. It could be the most important turning point of your life.
And I want to do the Jimmy comment here, the very simplistic doofus comment, which is this: simply don't be scared. So many are they're scared, right? They're nervous. They're comfortable in their little bubble. You know, they want to make that because they're scared. Don't be scared. You know, or nothing will get done. Right?
Nothing will get done. And, you know, we repeat things to ourselves that are deceiving, that are self-deceiving.
Such as?
Tell ourselves, oh, you know, I want a nice job, I want a nice home, I want a nice family. You know, we sort of repeat all these things to ourselves that we think we're supposed to want and that are going to perhaps bring us honor and respect from our peers. You know, spiritual people want to say, oh, you know, I want to save the world, or, oh, you know, money comes second, I'm interested in creativity. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because we can spend a lifetime hiding from ourselves. And, you know, I really want people to get in touch with what their most impassioned desires are. Go through the journey that Carlos writes about in the first of his Don Juan books, where you need to find that safe spot. You need to find that secure spot. It could be life or death, metaphorically or literally. And I feel that it's very possible to fritter away one's life repeating things internally or framing your desires in such a way that you kind of neuter them because you think they sound better. You know, it's like, I want to found such and such a company to make the world a better place. Well, you know, maybe that's true, and if that's true, that's wonderful. But if that's not true, heaven forbid you waste your life on it. Maybe there's something else you want. Maybe a corporate go-getter doesn't want to be a corporate go-getter, but just wants to be under a blanket at home. Somebody wrote to me tonight, a lady was telling me she realized that her aim was for security, and she felt badly about that because she thought security maybe seemed like a very narrow thing, a very small thing. And I said, look, if that's really truly your aim, then what are life-affirming ways of seeking security, financial security, physical security? As long as it's your passion, it will focus your energies, it will focus your psyche in such a way that will give you power.
And how do we, okay, all right, but how do we fight the power of the media where our generation today, the kids today, the kids today see the headline that, you know, Kylie Jenner becomes Forbes' youngest self-made billionaire. She's 21 years old. And you want to say something like this to your kids, and you want to do this, and they go, well, but Kylie Jenner did it, well, you know, with absolutely nothing, you know, and that's the power of the media. And I want to become an Instagram star. I want to become a YouTube star. I want to become a TikTok star. Right. We're fighting that on a daily basis by these quote unquote celebs that have tens of millions of followers that recognize what they are doing, and they're like, well, there's an easy way out. Yeah. It's interesting. You know, I have two sons, ages 12 and 14, and whenever I'm asked parenting questions, I always
quote something that is attributed to Napoleon. I don't know if he ever actually said any of these things, but Napoleon seems to have said everything, apparently. And that is, every plan immediately fails upon contact with the enemy. I guess you could say every plan immediately fails upon contact with your children. You know,
right.
Every well-laid, sensible, values-driven plan seems to go awry the moment you introduce it into actual life. Now, I'm proud of my kids. They seem to be doing well. They have good values. And I don't know, frankly, if I introduce those values to them, they are exposed to all the media that you're just describing, all the news that you're just describing. I don't know what precisely inculcates values in children. I do know that my older son has made a point of not gossiping. I'm very aware that he stays out of cliques. He stays out of kind of talking trash about friends. And it's a powerful trait. And I see that in my younger son as well. I don't know if I inculcated that in them by my behavior. I know that they rebel against me. I know they make fun of me, you know, for my spiritual interests, and that's natural and healthy. Kids have to do that. I wish I could tell myself what it is that inculcates values in a kid. It might, frankly, Jimmy, you know, it might have something to do with just a kind of receptivity to ideas and a sensitivity, a temperament that we come into this world with. There may be qualities of karma, qualities of reincarnation, other things that recur within individuals. And, you know, some kids get exposed to all this media, and my kids certainly have, and they seem to do well, and I can't take any awards for it. I don't know. I wish I could be more eloquent in terms of how a parent can introduce metaphysical values into a kid's life, but I have to tell you, it's as much a mystery to me as the ancient pyramids are. I thank my stars that my kids are doing well, and I don't know. The only thing I can guess is that any behavior I've ever inculcated in them, good or bad, has probably been something imitative. You know, I don't think anything I've ever said to them has made an impact so much as imitative behavior has been present.
Yeah, my guidance to my two daughters has meant nothing.
Right.
You know,
they laugh at it.
They do, and they have grown up to be two of the most beautiful young adults that I could have ever wished, and I'm so blessed. But all the advice I've ever dispensed, it's new.
Nothing, right?
But they're doing their own thing, and you know what, they're on their own life path, finding their own bliss. And I think that is probably what is washed off with them, is that, you know, their mom and dad are doing what makes them happy. And that's the secret. Yeah. You know, that is the whole secret. And going back, Mitch, I want to go back to this. You know, the television commercials are going to tell you that you need the brand new car, you need the new set of teeth, you know, you need the house with the 3-car garage on it and a pool. These are what's going to make you popular. That's the TV telling you that. The secret is you find your bliss. You know, the genie, the 3 wishes. You're not going to wish for the big house. You wish for the bliss, and that will run its course. And then that other stuff, that's the bonus, right? That comes with it. That's not your focus. That just happens to pop up as life moves along, doesn't it?
I agree, and I'm glad you used that metaphor of the genie, because that actually brings up an exercise that I sometimes challenge people to use, and I challenge myself to use it. You know, you were asking earlier, how does the individual sort of strip away all the noise and get down to what you really want? What is your bliss? What are you really passionate about? And I ask people to imagine that a genie offers to grant them one wish, and they can have whatever they ask for, but it's conditioned on the fact that they must tell the absolute truth of what the one thing is that they wish for, or they'll lose everything. And what would it be? And people want to protest. Well, you know, God, how can I name one thing? You know, I have all kinds of necessities and complexities in life, all kinds of responsibilities and roles that I need to play, and I honor that. I bow before that. I do too. But I do believe that life makes a very tough bargain with us, that if we can focus all of our energies onto one thing, we can come into extraordinary power. It's a law of nature that concentration brings force.
Right.
We can come into a kind of transcendental power if we're willing to focus our energies on one thing. It can be very tough, and that one thing must be well chosen. We must not only be passionate about it, but if you choose wisely, that one thing can cover a lot of different bases. But if you look at the lives of people you admire, people you really regard as heroes or role models, almost always they stood for one thing, or they're certainly remembered for one thing. For Winston Churchill, it was defeating fascism. For Helen Keller, it was extolling human potential. For Nelson Mandela, it was democracy, nonviolent change. For Steve Jobs, it was revolutionizing digital culture. You know, these people, of course, they had families, they had lives, they had intimate lives. They had many things going on in their lives, as we all do. But their greatness arose from the capacity to concentrate their energies. It's a tough bargain. It's a tough bargain. And it's not necessarily going to leave everybody around you entirely happy. But I think that greatness arises from that absolute concentration of effort.
Do you speak this out loud? Do you write it down, or do you keep it internal?
You keep it internal. You keep it internal because, I mean, once in a while I will disclose very intimate things to people because I feel like I have to provide examples of my own life in terms of what I'm talking about. But I do think that there's a deep importance to privacy. Some people might even call it secrecy, but I prefer to think in terms of privacy because when you air your innermost desire to people, there's every possibility that your Uncle Mike at Thanksgiving will run it down. We're a jealous breed, you know, humanity.
Right.
And we run things down, and even our friends do it, our coworkers do it. There's a lot to be said for remaining silent. I believe that this is the individual's private experiment.
Well, I guess that kills my next question.
Lay it on me. Anything, Jimmy.
See, and the point is that you do keep it internal. Of course, I was going to ask you what your one wish would be, or if you've made the one wish and what was it. But if you need to keep it internal, I understand that. But the secret to that is, hold on. The secret is don't lie to yourself about it. Don't change it. You know, you've got to stay committed. Once you do it, you can't alter it, and you can't and don't lie to yourself. Don't cheat.
Amen. Amen. I will say this. My definite aim is to chronicle metaphysical experience. That's my aim in both history and practice, to chronicle metaphysical experience. Now, I have to be fair with you. I'm not disclosing to you every fold of my most intimate wish, because I do think that one has to maintain some privacy and some silence around that. But in terms of vehicle, if you want to hear a good example of what a clear aim sounds like, that's one. To chronicle metaphysical experience. That's the definite aim. That's the overt vehicle of my life. I won't be morbidly self-disclosing because I feel like I do have to remain private about certain things, and I counsel your listeners to remain private. But that's that I would say is my outer vehicle and aim.
I think we can find the real intimate stuff in your tattoos if we look close enough. It's all
sir.
right there. You display it. Our guest tonight, Mitch Horowitz. It's already a great conversation, and it's only going to get better. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Mitch after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRAradio.com.
amigos, yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously, go Beckley Tappy. Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Introducing the new Surfer Music app. Listen, Fadernauts, you know I love my music. This is my go-to for all things notes. The Surfer app is a brand new concept in music listening. Surfer is free, providing unlimited access to thousands of live streaming radio stations. Surfer is an exciting, interactive listening experience. Discovery and surprise are built right in. Surfer is your destination to discover and rediscover great live streaming music. It features high-quality audio streams, free access to music from thousands of live streaming radio stations, unlimited listening, unlimited skipping. You get a music visualizer, and you can also select your favorite channels. Get it at the Apple App Store or Google Play. Just search Surfer Music or click on the Surfer banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Go Beckley Tappy.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products, available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Are you intrigued by paranormal talk radio? You'll love the new paranormal radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the paranormal radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the paranormal radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Mitch Horowitz. And we're discussing how thoughts become reality and changing your reality, how to get it done. Great conversation so far, but Mitch, let's dig a little bit deeper, because that statement, how thoughts become reality, is pretty bold. It's pretty strong.
Yes.
I would suggest coffee. That's I would suggest
a vital
coffee.
component.
Yeah, it is a vital component, but it's a very strong statement. And so let's dig a little bit deeper here. When I say that, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
I would say the first thing that comes to mind is I don't use the term manifest. I use the term select, and I think that through our emotionalized thoughts and our mental pictures, we are selecting from among a vast range of possibilities that we experience. One of the things I write about in the Miracle Club is that I think we have seen enough at this point in the 21st century to realize that it is a fact that there's an extra physical component to existence, that our existence goes beyond our five senses, and that the model of linearity does not hold up. It doesn't cover all the bases of reality. It doesn't cover particle physics. It doesn't cover extra-dimensional studies. It doesn't cover psychical research. It doesn't cover the relativity of time. And I think that what's happening in terms of all this positive thinking that people talk about is not so much that we're manifesting, but at certain moments of exquisite focus, we are getting in touch with the fact that linearity is only an incredibly useful illusion, a device that we use to navigate life in terms of our five sensory experience. But in fact, everything exists as an infinite possibility. Everything is in superposition all around us. And that concepts of time and space are understood to be relative, and particles and subatomic objects are understood to be in superposition, because that's what's really going on. That's what's really going on. And we don't have the sensory equipment to see it all the time. So we experience a chair as a chair, a cat as a cat. There's just one thing going on, and there's a past, present, future. That's an organizing principle, and it's vital to our existence. But the reality, the greater, broader reality, is that we live in a universe of infinitude and infinite possibilities, and that time and events are all part of a great, vast whole, and that through our focused perspective and emotionalized thoughts, we are, in effect, taking measurements of that great whole at any different moment and experiencing things based on what we focus upon. So that's my theory, at least. That's my attempt to come up with an explanation of why there seems to be a congruency between thought and experience. Our minds are tools of selection. They are measurement tools, not much different from the way that a scientist would be using a microscopic measuring tool in a laboratory. And the closer we get to understanding the infinitude of life, the more we realize what's really actually going on. We may not be able to experience it at all moments. We may not be able to experience it with consistency. In fact, it might be necessary to our existence that we do not. But there is an infinitude of possibilities facing us, and our minds are tools of selectivity.
Do you repeat the thought?
In terms of trying to select something, you're saying?
Yes.
I think it helps. I think that repetition and assumption ultimately concretize into some kind of reality. There may be a lot of other things going on, and other people's thoughts and physical limitations are at play, because we do live in a framework, at least in which we experience inevitably physical decline and limitations. And I think there are many laws and forces at play and going on around us. But I absolutely do believe repetition, affirmation, emotionalized thought, meditation, assumption, these things wield a huge power over what we experience in life. So yes, I think repetition is one very simple but deceptively simple and powerful tool that's at our disposal.
We've all experienced man, I haven't spoken to Bob in such a long time, and you think it in your mind, 5 minutes later the phone rings, and you haven't spoken to Bob in 5 years. Well, that's way beyond coincidence, and we've all experienced that. So if we know that that is real, and it happens whenever you want it to happen, it seems to happen, is that the same type of process that is involved, and that's actually what's going on?
I believe so. Obviously, there are coincidences that occur, so to speak. I mean, it's just, the world is filled with complexities, and there's all kinds of things that are just going to happen to us as a result of multiple laws and forces going on, multiple instances of cause and effect crisscrossing one another. But when we experience a really emotionally impactful congruency between what we're thinking about and what occurs, or when past, present, and future, or concepts of past, present, and future all seem to enter a kind of time collapse, and we seem to be experiencing everything at once, where things that we have thought about and emotional states that we've occupied in the past suddenly come back to us in the present in this form of this extraordinary synchronicity or seeming coincidence that has emotional gravity for us, and that seems to break down a sense of separation between ourselves and our innermost thoughts, between past, present, future. These time collapse states, I think, give us a glimpse of the selecting power of our minds. And yes, it can be as simple as thinking of Bob, needing to talk to Bob, and Bob is right there on the phone.
Rita and I have fun with this so much that I'll give you a perfect example. We want Bob on the show, right? And we'll talk about it. And instead of sending Bob an email, right? Okay, Bob, are you available next week or the week after? I'll just go, okay, well, let's just wait for the email to come in. We'll just talk about it.
Wild.
And a couple of days later, hey, I got this new book out. I got that new TV series. I got that, I just wanted to reach out, and it's just like, isn't that funny? It is such a powerful thing. Now, is there danger with that? If you're thinking negative thoughts, or you can't get a negative thought out of your mind. Maybe you're angry at somebody. Whatever it could be. But is there a danger with it too?
It's a great question, and the answer is yes. Yes, there is a danger to it. But I would say that there's a danger inherent in everything that we do in life. It's not just metaphysical experience, but stress will take a toll on life. Anger will take a toll on life. There's a great deal of danger getting behind the wheel of a car feeling angry or depressed or anxious. And, if you've got intoxicants in you, then you're entering into a whole different territory of danger. There's a danger with addiction. There's a danger with automatic behavior. There's a danger in terms of our inability to control our anger. So, whether our perspective on life is materialist or whether it's spiritual, and by spiritual I simply mean extra physical, there's always a danger. We expand the conversation, and I think we almost embrace a greater sense of responsibility, that acknowledging that our thoughts do have these extra physical dimensions, and that puts an even greater responsibility on us to know ourselves and to understand our lives and to understand our powers and our capacities. But you're absolutely correct. I think if I'm walking around feeling a sense of anxiety, that can produce hypertension in me, but it can also produce possibilities that are going to bring fissures and difficulties into my world. And these things are omnipresent. They're always with us. And it should heighten a sense of one's responsibility for one's own existence.
If this is the case, and I do believe that it is free will now part of this, or are we taking free will and the concept of that and kind of pushing it off to the side because we are now, creating this, and then therefore the future is seen and is planned. Is free will still part of the picture?
Well, it's an interesting question. I was speaking with a friend last night about synchronicities, and we were both sharing stories about fantastic synchronicities that have happened to us. And I said, what's interesting in these stories, and one of the things we have to watch out for is we always think that we're somehow the agent of whatever's going on. Right. Whatever's happening, however wild or coincidental it is, the agency somehow rests with us. My hands are on the driver's wheel. But how do I know that I'm not just fitting into somebody else's picture or story or need or necessity? I have all kinds of funny stories about things coming to me at just the right moment, but maybe somebody needed my assistance.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. Right.
Yeah. I was telling this funny story, and I repeat this in the Miracle Club. It's absolutely true. About 2 years ago, one summer, I started getting into the Monkees, the TV band The Monkees. And I was listening to their music, and I was reading about them, and I was knowing everything there was to know about the Monkees, and everybody thought I was nuts. And I couldn't explain it for the life of me. And I then entered this interval in my life where I was kind of in between projects, and I thought to myself, I want a really big assignment to kind of come to me. And that day, I started getting these emails that somebody at the Washington Post was trying to reach me, and they couldn't get in touch with me, and there was some email snafu. So finally we got together, and the guy said to me, listen, this is why I've been trying to reach you. Do you know who Mike Nesmith is? And I said, well, of course. He was the guitarist for the Monkees. Yeah, and do you know that he's a Christian Scientist? And I said, no, I didn't know that. And he said, yeah, did you know that he just wrote a new memoir? And I said, no, I didn't know that. And he said, would you like to review it? And I said, well, of course I would. And his memoir is called Infinite Tuesday, and it's about these time loops and synchronicities to some extent that we're talking about right now. And, I thought to myself, wow, it was almost like I was precognitive, seeing that this assignment was going to come somewhere in time. And, that's why I was into the Monkees. And then as I was speaking about this, I thought, well, wait a minute. How do I know that I had any agency in any of this?
Right.
Maybe Nesmith was thinking, gee, I really need a reviewer who's not going to be a jerk and who's going to respect my metaphysical point of view. And, so that's how I entered the picture. I'm just an ancillary to all this. We always like to think that we're the ones with agency, but it could be that, maybe it wasn't Mike. Maybe it was somebody else. Maybe the editor at the Washington Post was thinking, boy, we need to spruce up this review section. I need to get, something more metaphysical going on here. So that brings Nesmith and me into play. Who knows? And of course, I'm talking about all this on the most elementary level. There could be much vaster, greater levels of intentionality at work that I don't even have a single glimpse of. So all of this really complicates the question of free will and leaves me with more questions and mysteries than I had before.
Yeah, I know. And you must have just sat back and just said, well, my hands weren't on the wheel this time.
It's a trip.
Right.
And I must say, I write about all this weirdness in the review itself, and the editor at the Post left it in, and I really appreciated that because there's not a great deal of metaphysical rumination in the Washington Post, and I really appreciated them leaving in mind. So the whole experience was quite wild.
Yeah, the Monkees, of all the things in the known universe, right?
Everyone thought I was nuts. Why are you listening to the Monkees? Grow up. And I was like, no, these guys have it going on. And it all just played such a strange. It was such a weird, epic kind of opera of events. I never could have predicted any of it.
Yeah, and when it comes to free will, of course, I would like to think that free will is a reality concept, right? That's part of our reality. Free will is here. We all want and desire that. And then you hear physicists and scientists start talking about math, going back to the Big Bang, the numbers played out the way they played out. Everything is going to continue to play out as the math works. That's it. There is no free will. I mean, no matter you think the decision you are making, that is the way the atoms at the atomic level are just operating, and it was going to happen that way. That decision that you made was going to happen no matter what. And that kind of freaks me out.
It freaks me out. I suppose I take refuge from my freaking out in ancient Egyptian philosophy, because some of the Hermetic philosophy that we were talking about before and that we're going to speak about this summer teaches that, I guess the great maxim is as above, so below, as above, so below, which appears in Western scripture as God created man in his own image. And if we take seriously the notion that everything is mirrored in different concentric circles in the universe and that we are created in the image of some greater, higher mind somewhere, then it stands to reason that we do have some creative capacities within our own sphere of existence. That's what the ancients believed, and they had a tremendously intimate knowledge of the natural world in ways that I don't think we've even begun to come to terms with yet. And they also had calendrics and mathematics and geometry and knowledge of architecture and repeat patterns in nature, and they were very sophisticated in these ways as well. And yet their philosophy led them to believe that you and I and everyone listening are in ourselves reflections of some great higher mind, which the Greeks called nous. And this great creative mind, creating us thus in its image, gave us the capacity to create. So, thus comes in an argument in favor of some kind of free will or human capacity. It's a tremendous mystery. In the end, I can only just fall to my knees in front of it, basically.
It's interesting to talk about synchronicities. Have you seen the new docu-series? It's called Hellier. Have you seen that yet?
I have not.
Have you heard about it?
No, this is the first I'm hearing.
Okay, just write it down. Hellier, Hellier. Hellier is a city in Kentucky. But anyway, last night I had on Greg and Dana Newkirk, the stars of Hellier, and they're paranormal investigators. Great couple. They do amazing work, and the series is really good. But in one of the episodes, they discuss As Above, So Below. I watched it yesterday. Right? And I'm watching them discuss the meaning of As Above, So Below, as you just discussed it here in the same context. What is the hidden meaning of it? And that, it's alchemical. We understand that. It's Hermeticism. We understand that too. But how it is interpreted is As Above, So Below left up to us to figure it out, or is there an actual direct meaning to As Above, So Below?
These are tremendous questions. I mean, you're getting into some of humanity's deepest questions about its own capacities. I think probably there is a vastness of meaning to that expression, and I'm able to interpret it in my life as having some sort of creative and psychological meaning. But I think in the broadest sense, it does indicate to us that we are part of a great, vast wholeness, and that understanding the micro allows one in some way to understand the macro. And in as much as we're given perspective on this physical plane and framework that we find ourselves in, that is as close as we have to a universal law.
Because, and I bring it up because it's like 3 or 4 people from the show sitting around discussing the meaning of As Above, So Below, as varied of definitions as you can imagine. And I just found that very, very interesting, because you hear it so often. But what does it actually mean? What does it truly mean? I look at it. My take on it. Every time that I hear it, I have this vision of knowledge of the unknown, which is the above. The knowledge of the unknown, right, is whether we like it or not, is part of our lives here. That's I'm being very broad in how I'm trying to describe this, but that's how I see it. But then there's a black and white. There's a duality here that's going on. There's a negative positive thing that's going on. Below is very negative. It feels negative. Feels like hell, right? And above is heaven. So there's that mix of it too, but I don't quite see it that way, but others may interpret it that way.
Right. I see it, at least in terms of my use of that principle as a general source of guidance. I see it as approbation to create, approbation to strive, approbation to develop yourself, that in as far as there is a universal creator or intelligence or mind or power, however you want to think of it, that serves as a kind of creative agency in our cosmos, so do we serve as centers of creativity in life. And I really believe that the meaning of our lives is to be productive, is to be generative, is to be creative in whatever field we're dedicated to. I mean, certainly biologically, we see that and understand that as a fact. But I think that generativity, productivity, being part of some kind of circuit of creation is absolutely vital to who we are. And if we don't participate in that, if we don't assimilate that into our lives, then we just get into escapism. We devolve into escapism where we're just watching TV, we're just overeating, we're just taking drugs, we're just drinking. Life becomes escapism. And I think we experience a kind of slow, agonizing decline, and we anesthetize ourselves against it when we don't realize our capacities as creative, productive beings in the fullest sense.
Yes, and the Egyptians understood. I think that we're referencing entropy here in a sense, in that the Egyptians fully embraced it and understood it and chose to try to control it and make it part of their lives. But yes, in another broader sense, if we don't do as the Egyptians did, which is understand the chaos that we are experiencing today, that we can, in a sense, control entropy, even though science says that, coming apart is the end result of everything.
Yes. I think that we live, and this is one of the areas where I believe Hermeticism is extremely valuable in terms of helping us understand our possibilities and our limits today. We are extensions of the highest, but the branch is not the same thing as the tree, and the tree is not the same thing as the root. And we do function within a cosmic framework where we are going to inevitably, of course, experience physical decline and demise. There's never been an exception to that. That is part of our experience. Whether there's some greater awareness or a possibility for us to move up through some kind of concentric circles that give us greater perspective on that and that expose death as being something that's not final, that we pass on to other forms and other energies. Of course, I'm filled with questions about that, but we will experience physical decline and demise within this cosmic framework. So we are creators, but we are creators within a framework that has been established for us, in as much as there is a framework that a tree, for example, lives within. So, we have to be moored to those experiences as well. We have to realize that as much as we can enjoy talking about infinite possibilities and the ultimate existence of consciousness as an arbiter of all creation, we're also going to experience decline and pain and joys and tragedies and natural disasters and all kinds of things that are not going to be avoidable in terms of our experience. But I think that is also reflected in As Above, So Below. We are creators, but we're creators below, as you were referencing, within a framework of experiential limitation.
Absolutely fascinating, Mitch. Let's take a break right here. I want to continue the Hermeticism discussion with you when we come back. I want to pick up right where we're leaving off. Our guest tonight, Mitch Horowitz. This is Fade to Black. I'm yours, Jimmy Church. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal God on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out. That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-717-WAVE, 888-717-WAVE, or visit dryhealthyhome.com. Dryhealthyhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B blend.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Mitch Horowitz. Fascinating conversation. And we're going to continue right where we left off. And Mitch, as we're going through this conversation, this headline just popped up. Are you ready for this? The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has approved Janssen Pharmaceuticals' esketamine, I think that's how you say it, on Tuesday for treatment-resistant depression, a drug that is the chemical cousin to ketamine. It's a nasal spray. And, it's the club drug, Special K, is now going to be treatment for depression in a nasal spray. There we go. Let's add to the chaos. And I cannot believe that. And getting back to Hermeticism and what the Egyptians understood, they understood and they embraced order out of chaos. I mean, each year, the flooding of the Nile brought this unpredictability, this craziness, washing away villages, and they didn't know. But it also brought nutrients to the soil. They knew that they'd be able to grow their crops, and the cycle of life would continue. And they embraced and they started to understand that, yes, it's chaotic, it's out of control, but we use it to advance our culture and for us to live. And they understood order out of chaos, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. That's a very interesting point. By the way, I don't know if you're hearing this on your end, but I'm getting some interference. I don't know if you're able to hear it in your headphones.
It's the headline of ketamine. Okay, it should be gone now. Sorry about that.
All right, no problem. You make it a very good point, and one of the things that I found in Egypt that astonished me was this. I'm very interested in a figure named Set, who's sometimes thought of as the Egyptian god of chaos, or sometimes thought of as the god of the underworld, but in fact he was the god of the desert. He was the god of storms, and there was a beautiful and necessary and vital and noble fierceness and strength and power about Set. He's sometimes depicted as the adversary of Horus, who is sort of seen as the god of life and sustenance. There was a bas relief that demonstrated exactly what you were saying, a unity of both Set and Horus. And in fact, I think I'll post it on Twitter for your listeners later. And it shows the two of them with joined hands, Set and Horus together. And it demonstrates the absolute necessity of these two forces, one of fierce creativity and a beautiful, noble kind of wildness and strength, and the other a force of orderliness and right angles and containment. And the two of these things are vital parts of creation. And this beautiful, beautiful bas relief, which I came upon in Egypt, demonstrated that. And I was really fortunate to see it because the god Set was a vital part of Egyptian life, and his name and meaning is not often heard or understood today, even among people who are into Egyptology.
And I just find it so interesting that so many thousands of years ago that they understood these concepts. And if you think about it, where academia likes to focus on, Egypt and then Greece and then Rome as being the foundations of civilization. Greece and Rome, when Egypt was going through all of these concepts and understanding them, Rome wasn't even mud huts yet. That was 2,000 years later.
Right. I think it's very difficult for us to, and that's a good point, it's difficult for us to understand the antiquity of Egyptian culture. When the Greek historian Herodotus encountered the pyramids, they were as ancient to him as Herodotus is to us. And we don't even fully understand the timeline of ancient Egyptian culture, but even if you stick with this traditional timeline, we're going back to 3000 BC, and it's just inconceivable, even according to the conventional calendrics, how long-standing a civilization ancient Egypt was. It's very difficult for us to even get our arms around that one fact, much less the spiritual, mythical, scientific, and psychological view of life and understanding that the ancients possessed.
Let's stay right there for a second. You just got back from Egypt, and I think it's one of the most important points that we can make today is that when Herodotus went to Egypt in 300 BC, the Egyptians at that point had no clue about themselves either. Right, they didn't know how old they were. Right, there was no books lying around, and all of that stuff started to get compiled about that time. As they went around to different temples and did their best to chronicle and go back, to 3000 BC and Mene. But they did not know how they were. They didn't even understand it. And today we really don't have a concept of that. But for you've been there. How do you think that they started to get these ideas so early on at 2500 BC? Forget about building of the pyramids. It's the understanding of the universe and mathematics and philosophy and laws and religion and education and music and all of that was part of what should have been a pure Stone Age culture.
Yeah, ancient man was a great deal more sophisticated and complex in his thinking than we often understand, and his knowledge of nature was much vaster and deeper and broader than I think we're able to conceive of when we use the term nature today. His knowledge of the cosmos and his dependency upon the natural world was so vital that peering into the workings and the makings of the natural world was not only a matter of knowing oneself, but it was a matter of life and death. It's the mystery of humanity. It's the mystery of humanity, where all this was emergent from. And it adds a further wrinkle to our discussion of the meaning of as above, so below. Where did these ideas come from? My sense is that man's mind is more expansive and more capable of absorbing higher states of meaning and extra physical concepts and ideas than we allow ourselves to understand in the 21st century. I think the mind is connected to something greater. Call it an oversoul, as Emerson did, or nous, as the ancient Greeks did, or infinite mind, or supermind, as some people term it today. But I think our mind is capable of extraordinary extra-physical experiences, and you find that inherent within the philosophy of Hermeticism, this ancient Egyptian Greek philosophy.
Well, and I guess what I'm pushing you towards is, do you start to accept, you specifically and the rest of us, that the ancient gods of Egypt before, pre-dynastic Egypt, that is actually reality, that they were writing about reality, that Set and Sekhmet and Horus and Osiris, that these were all real, that's where the knowledge came from?
I'm glad you asked that, Jimmy, and this is why I love being on your show. Personally speaking, the answer is yes. I do believe that these beings are real. You could say that they are personifications of energy. Humanity has been doing that since its most primeval origins. Maybe we call it by a certain name. We call it Mercury, or we call it Hermes, or we call it Thoth. But it is a personification of a kind of energy, and I think that's a legitimate way of communicating with the greater world, with the higher world. I have a beautiful piece of original papyrus depicting the god Set hanging up in my apartment right now that I'm looking at. I venerate it. I worship it. I petition this deific figure. I do believe it's a personification of energy. I do believe it's real. I think that our ancient ancestors were quite right, and we should not limit ourselves to just studying their architecture, their geometry, their calendrics, but their spiritual beliefs were real insights and and we can find retentions of absolute truth within these spiritual beliefs, and we are not limited in our experimentation. That's one of the wonderful legacies we live with today. So my answer to your question is absolutely yes. I believe that Sekhmet and Set and others of the ancient deific litany of gods are real, are personifications of energy, and can be appealed to.
What do we do with those ideas of Alexandria and Hermeticism and Thoth, and these concepts that were collected from around the world? All the great philosophers and thinkers and scientists, we're all getting together and apparently having fun and sharing wisdom without ego coming into play, and their own cultures. And that knowledge is somewhere. I don't think it went down in the burning of the library. I think those concepts continued. Where do you think that they went to next?
Well, fortunately, and this is why the Hermetic literature is so important. The Hermetic literature was a collection of manuscripts that were written in the decades immediately following Christ by Greek Egyptians. And as best as we can understand, they took Egyptian oral tradition, they took Egyptian philosophy, and they translated it into a literary language, Greek, which we have the capacity to understand and translate and commune with today. The Egyptian hieroglyphic language was more of a symbolical language. It wasn't expository in the same way that Greek is. So in the Hermetic literature, we have a kind of time capsule. We have a kind of retention of ancient Egyptian ideas that had probably circulated for many, many hundreds of years in oral tradition, since that seems to be the habit of humanity. Things occur first and are passed along through oral tradition and only later are written down. That's why the Hermetic literature is so valuable to me. And in an occult book like the Kabbalion, you do have authentic vestiges and threads of some of this ancient wisdom. And that's something that we're going to be talking about at your conference this summer. So some of this is hidden in plain sight in the sense that we do have a few precious threads of wisdom that have been preserved in the Hermetic literature that give us an insight into some of the understanding of the ancients.
Where does it survive today? Where we talk about the mystery schools and that it's out there. Where does it survive today? If you could point this audience in a direction, where do you think it continues?
I think that I don't think, frankly, that there's any great mystery school or there's any lodge filled with people who are kind of vouchsafing this wisdom. I don't think that the secret school is something that's going to bear fruit for people if they go in search of it. But I do think that some of this ancient wisdom does live within and is attainable to the deeply sensitive, motivated individual who really searches through the ideas of the ancients and experiments in life today. You can get yourself a few decent translations of the Hermetic literature, for example. One that I recommend is it's just called Hermetica, and the translator is Brian Copenhaver. It's from Cambridge University Press. Inner Traditions, my publisher, also publishes a really excellent translation of some of the Hermetic literature. You can start there with some of those translations, but you're going to have to bring yourself into experimentation with these ideas. The fee of entry to esoteric ideas is getting one's hands dirty. You have to have a mechanism for experimenting with these things. I'm working and experimenting all the time with meditation and visualization and the uses of the mind and trying to discover congruencies between thought and reality, and also not get lost in just kind of imagining what's there when it really isn't, because it's what I'm looking for. there are a precious few places where I think you can find colleagues to study esoteric wisdom with, but they're not dramatic, and they're not, they don't involve secret handshakes. And I think people who lay claims to secrecy often don't know what they're talking about. I think they're victims of artifice themselves. They may think they belong to some sort of ancient order that's not really there. Don't get lost in drama. Don't get lost in pageantry or costumery or whatsoever. But throw yourself into experiment. Throw yourself into experiment. And this can include chaos magic and ceremonial magic and Thelema and New Thought and all kinds of different ideas. If you can find a legitimate strain of shamanic thought, then follow that. But don't kid yourself that any one thing is going to become the turnkey that unlocks everything for you. The great likelihood is that you'll have to experiment with a lot of things and in a lot of different ways, and you may begin to find a convergence of paths, a convergence of ideas, and that may lead you to some individual insights. So again, we come back to as above, so below. I think that if there's a place where some of these things exist, they exist within the psyche of the mature, experimenting seeker.
Where would we be today if Alexandria wasn't burned down, right? If we had all of those ancient texts and the technology and the science and the religion, the philosophy would have continued through year zero. Would we have been on the moon 2,000 years ago?
Right. Who can know? Who can know? Maybe there would have been some other cataclysmic event that would have deprived us of this knowledge, since human beings seem better at dividing against one another than we are at anything else, practically. So these cataclysmic events and these outbreaks of mass violence seem to be part of human culture. So, one could only guess, but the possibility is, of course, that some other catastrophe would have occurred that would have deprived us of some of that knowledge. But you've laid your hands on one of the great what ifs of human history.
Yeah, and speaking of what ifs, let's kind of end on this note. What if? I mean, Göbekli Tepe was found in 1995, wasn't supposed to exist. Now we have an ancient temple of high technology that was built 7,000 years before the Great Pyramid. That it wasn't supposed to exist. We were told that ancient Egypt was the start of everything at 3100 BC. And now we have Göbekli Tepe. What if, with the thawing of these glaciers in Greenland or in Antarctica, that some crazy thing is exposed where obviously things aren't what we have been taught? Some 50,000, 100,000-year-old city is revealed, or text or information. Are we equipped to handle that today?
I would submit to you that not only are we not equipped to handle it, but a whole industry of people would spring up to ridicule it and to deter investigation of it and to pronounce it a hoax and to pronounce it nonsense. Because it's sort of like the allegory of the cave over and over again. I mean, my friends Robert Schock and the late John Anthony West discovered water erosion on the oldest portion of the Sphinx. And rather than just saying, well, this is curious, and marshaling some resources to investigate it, most of academia continually runs them down, dismisses it, comes up with contradictory evidence, or what is presented as contradictory evidence, without directly answering the water erosion thesis itself. And this is a very important point I want to make. It's one thing to come up with evidence that you purport is contradictory, and that's important and that's necessary, but it's not the same thing as actually investigating and responding to the water erosion thesis itself. So there's an instance where two scientists discovered something that could question the timeline of antiquity, and rather than saying, well, this is interesting, let's investigate it, let's see what's there, a whole industry of people have instead deemed it a dangerous doorway to irrationality, and tried to come up with ways to counter and ridicule the thesis while not directly responding to the thesis itself. So my suspicion is, based on human nature, if glacial melting brought us face to face with something extraordinary, we'd probably spend the next generation running it down and denying its existence.
How sad, right? How sad.
It is sad, but knowledge wants to be free, and it's a basic of human nature that we want to know what's around the next hill. So, you can burn the fleet, you can smash Galileo's telescope, you can tear up the maps, but the human wish to know will always be triumphant, I believe.
Yeah, I encourage anybody that if you want to have a paradigm shift, a mind-bending experience, simply go to the Met and walk through the Egyptian wing.
Yes.
That's all you got. That's all you got to do. You walk up.
I really agree.
I mean, you just go up to a 4,500-year-old, 10-ton, 20-ton sarcophagus carved out of black granite with those inscriptions, and you look at that and you go, "Man, somebody's lying to us." Because that is the best. You have to. The books don't. With the pictures, the internet. No, go and look at this for yourselves. And then you'll start to get it. You'll start to understand.
I quite agree. That's beautifully put. And if you walk through those galleries, and they're open to everybody, you will absolutely be haunted by what you see, and haunted in the best way. It'll give you a great sense that there's so mumuch more than we've understood. What we see is not all there is.
Now, Mitch, I want to thank you. I know that you've got to go do your thing and then get on this plane and get out here to L.A. What is your first event once you get here?
My first event is going to be Thursday night at 7 o'clock at Manly Hall School. It's called Unvanquished Angels, America's Not-So-Lost Occult Heroes. And you can register for this by going to uprs.edu, That's Thursday night, and it's going to be terrific. It's going to kick off a few days of some really wonderful esoteric activities.
I can't wait, and I'm going to do my best to get out there Thursday night. Obviously, I'm on the air.
Thank you, man.
But we've got to hang out this trip. We missed each other last time. Let's you, Rita, and I go out and break some bread.
Right on. We'll do it.
I'll talk to you, Mitch. Safe travels.
Thank you, man.
Safe travels out west.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Mitch Horowitz, everybody. Now, all of the links for Mitch's schedule and everything is up. We've got it up in Twitter, and we certainly have it up on the website. Go and click. And if you're here in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Phoenix, come on out and hang out with Mitch this weekend at the Manly P. Hall Center right here in Glendale, California. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'm going to get out of here. Come back after this short break. I want to thank Mitch, and, of course, I'm going to open up the phone lines. What did you think about this conversation tonight? We'll do all of that right after this short break. Stay with us.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's your girl Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously, go Beckley Tappy. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and my family is safe because of Numana Emergency Food Storage. Just go to the Numana banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code Jimmy10.
Are you intrigued by paranormal talk radio? You'll love the new paranormal radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the paranormal radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm opening up the phone lines right now. 747-228-2051. 747-228-2051. And while we wait for the delay and the calls to come in, fascinating conversation tonight. And manifesting, that's my word. You know, creating your own reality, it is 100% possible. It's 100% possible. And the concepts behind it, although simple, they take work. And it can't be simplified. There's no easy road. But you can. And the power of the mind and thought is so strong that if you choose to do that, you know, be careful. Be careful. That's the best advice, because what I think that you want to base everything on something as simple as finding your bliss. What is it? What is that one thing? What is that one thing where you will achieve that happiness, that glow, right? And everything else will follow. Everything else. Again, going back to these concepts, and I do want to hear from you about this. So the numbers are open now, 747-228-2051. In that, the reason why you want to be careful, find your bliss, and that is something that is very, very personal. Don't be scared. Whatever it is, don't be embarrassed about it or whatever. It's what makes you happy. And everything else will align itself into your life. With that comes the chaos. And I addressed this in my opening statement and rant tonight on the show, in that Rita and I decided to change our reality. We did, and we made a very conscious effort in that. And we did, and we pulled it off. What comes with that is chaos. I expressed it in very personal and in a very direct way. What came with that are things that you have to deal with and figure out a way to embrace. Because that chaos, that unwinding, that ungluing of your life is going to come with that, because now you are changing directions. And nobody warned me. And nobody let Rita and I know that this is what's going to come along with the ride. Okay? We were so focused on getting things done, and still are to this day, that the chaos and the things that started to erupt, and it erupted, and it showed itself very, very early. And naturally, this is what we did. Naturally, we chose to ignore some of the negative things. We chose to ignore things that would take us out. You know, I keep saying this, that we were in our lane, and we're still in our lane. Things that were trying to pull us out of our lane. No. You know, we stayed true, right? And we stayed in our lane, and it's hard, man. Oh, it's hard. You just got your hands on that wheel, and you're just staying in your lane. But nobody told it. Naturally, we figured this out day to day to day to day, right? And figuring out that there were going to be jealousies, there was going to be some negative influence. There was people out there, not everybody, but people hate success. And it doesn't matter. And what I am referring to here about this show, is it a success? Well, in its own little way, it is. Certainly, it is a success. But in your own lives out there, in your own lives, when you're out doing your thing and you're successful at something, you know that there's people around you that don't want to see somebody succeed. They don't like it. And they will do everything to fight it. And they will say things to you and plant things in your mind and try to throw you off your game to get you to drive out of your lane. So hearing this from me and hearing this from Mitch and others will reinforce that in you, to recognize it when it happens. It's not you, it's other things out there. Right. And so changing your reality and getting this on track and giving you this advice right now, and a self-awareness of what is possible, and not only in changing your reality, but those other forces out there that will start to create chaos. And you have to recognize that when it's coming in. Okay, so now I'm going to let everybody know that, like this caller right here, I'm going to put you on hold right now. Don't freak out. It's going to go silent. Okay, I'm going to bring in another caller right now. You stay right there. I'm about to put you on hold. Welcome to the show. Stay right there. And let's start seeing what's on people's minds. Let's go here first. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, this is Leanna.
Hi, Leanna. How are you?
I am good, Jimmy. I think you're awesome.
I think you're awesome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
What's on your mind?
Well, you know, you were talking about how people try to derail you once you're successful. And one of the reasons why I think that I don't try to go for that one thing or what I love is because I'm afraid at my very core I'm going to lose people.
You know what? It's inevitable. Right?
Yeah, I know.
But
yes.
Do you want to put your happiness, in jeopardy?
Yeah.
And the other thing is this, Leanna, and I really mean this. Our time on this planet in our physical selves is very, very short. And, when we hear this all the time, but it's really, really true. And when you get to the end of the road, right, and you're in your 70s, 75, do you want to be that old lady that says, you know what, I almost did what I really loved, but I didn't? You don't want to be that. You don't want to be saying those words.
I don't want to be the woman with a billion cats. I totally agree.
Well, if that makes you happy. But so, but you're exactly right. Don't worry about anybody else. If I was worried about the critics or the criticism or the negativity, this show would have never happened, and you and I wouldn't be talking right now. And you know what? That would have sucked, right?
Yeah. And I just wanted to say, I think that you're famous. You're famous to me and a lot of other people. So, as I get older, I'm like, well, what is self-worth? What is success? And, I think that you've nailed it, dude. You're cool.
Oh, thank you so much, Leanna. Behave and be well. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Pensacola, Florida.
Pensacola, Florida. Well, behave and be well, and don't be a stranger to this show.
I won't, and love to you and Rita.
Thank you so much, Leanna. Behave. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.
That's a great phone call right there. That's exactly right, and that's how we play it. Do not worry about critics. Don't worry about losing somebody, because what did I say? What did Mitch say? Right? You can't be worried about that. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. I don't care what it is that makes you happy. Only you know that. Only you know that. So whatever it is, go and nail it. Go and nail it, because you will. Your life will change. You will glow. And not only that, you are going to attract other positive beings, right? And you're just going to look around and go, wow, things are so much different. And just think about that. Don't be scared. Don't worry about anything. Do your thing. The reason why I am here is because I am happy. I get to hang out with all of you. I'm doing exactly what I want to do. I don't want to do anything else, right? I don't play guitar as much as I should, right? My life is this. This is what makes me happy. I used to build model cars, right? I have got boxes. I have got cases, literally packed of models that I have built over the years. I used to I've got airbrush machines. I've got all of the tools and things, and oh man, and I probably built hundreds, and I even got Rita involved. Rita would be over there airbrushing, and we built. I don't do that anymore. Now I got a lot of enjoyment out of that. But they are sitting in boxes now. I don't even have. I used to have shelves and displays and lights and little things and scenes, and oh man, I was so into it. But I don't have time for that anymore. What makes me happy is what I'm doing right here. And I talked about this, my stupid ear. I forget about my ear when I'm here hanging out with you. It's my escape, and I am just so happy. So go and find what makes you happy. Look, I can only imagine, and that maybe in the back of my mind that I didn't want to tell anybody I wanted to be on the radio. I didn't want to hear any, dude, you on the radio? Okay, so I kept it to myself. It wasn't something that I discussed with people. But one day, Rita and I decided we're going to do this. That's it. And we were committed. And that's all you need to do. Whatever it is, do it, commit, and make it happen. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Jimmy, this is Ray, also known as Mr. Anonymous.
Yes, Ray, Mr. Anonymous. How are you?
I'm terrific, Jimmy. I really appreciate your intro tonight. And not to complain, but I feel for what you're going through. I worked I work at a metrology lab. I was a lab manager until I got fired from that about a month ago. And that's cool. It is what it is. But I had walking pneumonia for a month and a half, and I didn't know it.
Ouch.
I just know. When I went home, I felt like crap all the time. I didn't want to do anything. I was just tired all the time. Had trouble breathing. I thought it was. And I had moved. I was living up in Turlock, and now I'm in Bakersfield, of all places. Probably the worst air quality. Everything in the San Joaquin Valley kind of focuses on Bakersfield and sits there in the summertime.
Yes, it does.
But, yeah. Anyway, got a nice house here in Bakersfield. Brought all of my 11 cats down here with me. They're all rescues. In Turlock, I was staying at a house that I'd rented for 20 years, and one of the conditions was no animals. And I actually got through that whole thing of them signing off the house with them never finding out that I had as many as 15 cats in the house. And that's a challenge. I mean, you know what a UV light does with cat urine. You can find it immediately. I was scrubbing walls and floors for 2 weeks.
Wow.
But anyway.
Wow. But have you found your bliss?
2 years ago when I first started listening to you, what a blessing that was. Seriously. And I have enjoyed every time I listen to you on the radio. I mean, you are prime time in my book. If 7 o'clock rolls around, I may watch about 5 minutes of Hannity, and then Ingram comes on, and I say, "Oh, time for Fade to Black," and she's my cue to go turn that on and turn the TV off, and that's the best therapy that I've done. Seriously. As far as the bliss, I have spurts. I'll listen to music. I'm 65, and I remember Harry James and Doug Sachs and all those guys down there, and I couldn't get as involved with all of that as I wanted to. My mentor he taught me all of the audio. I can't even discuss audio with anybody else anymore. There's no one like my mentor left. And when you mentioned Bob, that situation you talked about, 5 minutes later, after I was thinking about a problem, he'd call me on the phone.
Right.
And we were exactly that same way. And I had known him ever since I was dropped on his doorstep in 1985. Because like your guest tonight, my last drop of alcohol was 1985, and I think the world is probably a better place for everybody else because of that. And I have no issues with that whatsoever. I was truly blessed. I didn't have to sideslip or go back out and find out how bad it was. The truth was given to me as a gift, and I found out who I was at that point. And it's been a slow process. After that, I got top secret jobs at NASA. Was offered top secret jobs at Skunk Works. I even turned down 2 jobs at Skunk Works. And I'm still kind of, I'm a little upset about that because I would have known more about Ben Rich if I'd have taken him up on the job.
Sure.
But the bliss part of it, the meditation and all of that kind of stuff, that takes a severe devotion. And I really honestly am not there yet. I'll come home at the end of the day, and I'm just so tired that I just want to sit down and do nothing. Feed the cats, get myself a bite to eat, and I'll just vegetate for about a half an hour. And unlike you, I'm not really doing what I enjoy doing.
That's and again, it's one of those things that only you don't have to verbalize it right now with me. That's not my intent. But only you know your little secret. Only you, right? And whatever that thing is, go and do it. Well, if it's legal, right? Whatever. I'm not saying your little secret is robbing banks or whatever. But whatever that thing is that you've always wanted to do, right? Go and do it. You're 65, man. The time is now, Ray. Quit. What are you farting around for? Go and do it.
That's the thing is, when you say, okay, go ahead and dream big, go do your dream. It's like, damn, I don't have any dreams. I've been in the workforce for 42 years, and I'm worked out. It's going to take some time getting in contact with Ray.
Yeah, I hear you there too, my friend. I do. But, that's why, not only Fade to Black is here, but a guest like Mitch Horowitz will get you to think, because that's why you made this phone call. That's the truth.
Absolutely.
That's the truth.
Yep.
So go and do it. Go and think. All right, Ray, Anonymous, go do your thing, man. And I'll see you tomorrow night right here.
Jimmy, thanks very much, and say hello to Rita.
I sure will, Ray. Thank you so much. I always enjoy the phone calls with Ray, and it's the truth. It's the truth. If you get inspired by tonight's show, where you just sit back and go, church is right. There's this one thing, all right, I've been beating around, you know what? All right. That right there, we all win. The world wins. We all win. So think about that. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Mr. Jimmy Church, how are you?
Hey, Scott. How are you?
Damn you. You know my voice every time I call in.
No, I don't. I know your phone number. So, so Scott, have you found your bliss?
I have, my friend. I really have. And it was a hard journey.
Don't stop there.
Jimmy, I left rock and roll business, and I took a hard left turn and decided that I am going to not be an old rocker like Iggy Pop and decide to make a family and try to become a normal human being. And when I did that, it became a very, very, very hard journey. And I purchased from my road manager, he had some hubcap and wheel stores. And from that point on, I just dedicated myself to trying to make myself a human being that would make just the right decision from there on in. Does that make sense?
It does. And are you happy?
I am very happy. I'm very happy, and sometimes I'm too happy, and I have to calm myself down.
And that's the point. That's exactly the point. I mean, so where you are today, you wouldn't change a thing, and that's what's most important. When I said tonight, my opening rant, I may sound like I'm complaining. I am not. I am thankful. And Rita and I would not change a thing. We would not change. There's nothing that we would do different. Not a single thing. And that is what's most important, is that we are happy. And anybody that's around us, you're around us. We've got a small circle of friends that are around us. They will all attest to what Rita and I are about. We are real. Our feet are on the ground, and we just do our thing. We have no outside forces that are pulling on us. The reason why Fade to Black is what it is because it's by design. It's us, right? It's nothing more than that. And people want to make, how do I want to say this? I want to say this in a polite way. They want to make Fade to Black something that it isn't, right? They want to make me something that I'm not. They want to, by the power of suggestion, like he was saying, Mitch said earlier, with gossip. And none of it is true. Only the people that are around us know what is real. And they laugh. They laugh at all the negative side because it's all made up, and that's what is hilarious, and we're happy.
I can attest, Jimmy, that everybody and everyone that circles around you are very decent human beings and very polite. And you yourself are very, very, very polite and conduct yourself as a gentleman. And I don't know anybody would come off as seeing you anything differently than that.
Yeah. It's funny when I see some posts and I immediately just delete, block, right? But I see the the post start off for some email or some tweet. Jimmy and Rita are doing this, or they're. It's like, it's hilarious. It's hilarious, and we don't subscribe to it. We just don't. We don't pay attention.
I've got to ask you something now. You have this inner ear problem, and I did about a year ago. And I got to ask you something, because we were talking about this when I was talking about my Bigfoot experience. And I had mentioned something that who created that inner ear, the vertical, horizontal, diagonal, and the crystals that float around in ears. And you got to really look at this in a deep conceptual. Why not say this? I don't know what to say, but it is your inner ear is a flotation device, and there's crystals that are in that inner ear that will tell you if you're going up, down, diagonal, and if one of those crystals get dislodged, you're going to go a different way that you'll never believe. And I felt like a couple times that I was floating down 17 stories down a building, and that was because I do a lot of mountain bike riding. So I don't know what you're experiencing, but you got to ask yourself, who designed that? This is a grand design.
Well, what's really funny in this 7-month journey of this chronic ear situation, so many different, every single type of medication and treatment has been done. Okay, everything from cleaners and desensitizers to all kinds of antibiotics.
Happily maneuver?
Hold on. Antibiotics and steroids and antihistamines, and everything seemed to have helped. And then it comes back, and it comes back stronger. And it's and I've been going on this roller coaster, and it's just been gnarly. So that's it. I just want everybody's energy coming this way. I've exposed it now. Right. Everybody knows what's going on, and there you go.
Are you facing vertigo?
I don't want to get into. You know what? I don't even want to talk about it. Okay. Let's just get the energy flowing this way, and the power of this audience will fix things. And there you go. And
can I ask you one more thing?
Huh?
As I was growing up, and
you've got
you and I are like
Scott. You've got 10 seconds.
Okay. What scares me the most, what is worst, is the man has lost everything. And where are we going from here, Jimmy? Where are we going? It does not make sense to me where we're going.
And it just seems like at one point we were on the right track, and we've just come unglued, and we've lost sight of everything that we learned and were taught thousands of years ago. It just all went out the window. And with that,
You're
Scott,
right.
I got to roll credits, and I got to get out of here. You're my last caller of the night. Behave and be well. Stay dry.
I will. You got it, my brother. I love you.
Love you back, Scott. Thank you so much. That's Scott the Rocker right there. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. Thank you, Mitch Horowitz. MitchHorowitz.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Mitch Horowitz. Amazing conversation tonight. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2019 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter right now at JChurchRadio. Tomorrow night is our Soul Tech 2019 special event. You're not going to want to miss that. Until then, everybody be safe. Go back, Lee Tappy.